Welcome to the Copy Closer podcast. We've got a really cool guest for you today. Every single time we do these podcasts, it's either me talking, Tiffany talking, or we've got a really killer guest that we interview because they're experts. And listen, not everybody I'm not an expert in every single thing. I'm great at copywriting. So what I like to do is surround myself with other people who are good at stuff. So we've brought on people who are experts at copywriting, sales, and marketing. And today we've got somebody who's really cool because he's actually got a well-rounded approach. He's good at sales, and he's also doing stuff in the digital marketing world. So this is actually something you guys can really take away from, especially anybody who's in the marketing world right now, maybe selling services, stuff like that. This would be a pretty cool call. So we've got David Lopez on the call. What's happening, David?
Hey, how are you, Carlos? Thank you for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. Really grateful to be here.
Oh, 100%, dude. So just so folks kind of have an idea of who you are, why don't you give us a little story, a little background, where you come from? I'm sure, like, what did you do before you fell into this sales world, and how did you transition into that?
So I started pretty much selling stuff, right? Buying it for a price and then sell it for a higher price. I started when I was a really young kid, like around 11, 10 years old, when you have your mom on welfare, and really fighting hard to give you a better life, but it's hard, times are hard, then you really have to have the drive and have a way to figure out how can you make more money. So that was the hustle that was in me that got me just going. And then after a couple years, like around when I was like 18 years old, that's when I started working for a big sales company. And my journey started from there, where I started really learning more about, the real sales, how to handle objections, how to really be able to get results on a face-to-face. And from there, I was able to win awards and build teams and, mentor them. And then eventually I built my marketing firm, where now we help businesses with sales and also with marketing, with branding themselves, with, bringing the world to awareness of who they are. And instead of going from a one-on-one approach, going from one to many. So transforming pretty much yourself from the flesh to the machine.
Oh, I love it, dude. I love it. And you got some cool buzzwords and shit. I love it. So you talked about, one of the things that I realize is some of the folks that we bring on, they'll have stories of how, they did things as little kids and, they did these little entrepreneurial type stuff and now they ended up being entrepreneurs, right? And I always find that so cool when you see somebody who's got a similar story. So at 11 years old, you started flipping stuff. What were you flipping? Do you remember?
Yeah, one of the things that I was doing is I was going to a local jewelry shop, and I was, asking them to, give me good prices for the jewelry. Sometimes they even got me to front me the jewelry and just said, hey, you know what, kid, I trust you. Go ahead and bring it back. So from there, I just started, going to other people in the hood and just said, hey, man, this is what I have. I can give you a really good price. If you go to the store, you'll buy it retail price, but, here's a wholesale price. And just from there, really started to just sell, and yeah, it just didn't stop from there.
Dude, at 11 years old, most kids are trying to play like, maybe at the time, like a Sega Genesis or a Nintendo or whatever. I don't know how old you are, but something, like a video game, but you're out here hustling and stuff. What inspired that? I'm curious.
Really, I wanted a better life, and I wanted to buy things that, I felt necessary for me or for my little sister. And, sometimes, the situations in life didn't allow me to get those things because, we were trapped into the system, as a family. There was just one income. And sometimes, the dad was sending some money over and we're seeing him once every 2 weeks. But, losing the father as a figure, in the family is always, really harsh. So, for me, it was like I had to take responsibility at a very young age, and I had to provide not only for me, but also for my family, for my friends, and that's where it all started. Just the drive of.
Dude, I find this fascinating. So when I ask these questions, it's like I'm legit fascinated about this stuff. So how long from when you kind of, I guess, I don't know if your dad left or something happened, you know, like how long after that incident and then you went and started doing this? Was it like a year and then, or 5 years or something like, like what was the final straw that pushed you to say, you know what, let me just go to this jewelry store and say, because that first time is a hard, I mean, that first time you go and approach somebody to sell something, like your first time doing anything is the scariest time. And I think people in their 30s and 40s, I mean, they have a hard time approaching people to just make deals. You're doing it at 11. So there's a lot of credit that should go your way. And I mean, we'll transition to what you're doing now, but I find that fascinating. So what was the final straw? I mean, how long did it take you and whatnot? You know what I mean?
So my dad left when I was around 4 or 5 years old.
Wow.
And from there, you know, I was just a little kid, but as soon as I got like 6, 7, 8, you know, I was still, you know, hustling toys and selling it to another friend, or if they weren't going to use it anymore. I always had that mentality in me. I don't know why. It was just like really natural in me to, you know, to hustle, to look for more, to, you know, to squeeze the orange and see the juice come out, right? That really fascinated me, right? Because there's always something to create out of nothing, right? It all starts with your brain. It all starts with an idea. So I was doing all those things, but then, you know, at 11 is where I was just, or 10, that's where I was just like, you know, let's just go and make it bigger. So that's where I went to a legit business and asked them to, you know, help me out there. And I guess they loved my drive and just how I was just so confident that I could just do it. And you know, confidence is a big thing that has helped me to accomplish the things that I have accomplished. Because if you don't feel confident, if you don't feel that you have conviction, then, you know, you have doubt, and that doubt, you know, brings fear, and that fear doesn't let you operate in abundance. And those are the things that, you know, I had to learn from a very young age.
Dude, I love it. I love it. What a badass. Okay, so you're doing that at 11. Obviously, we don't have to get into maybe stuff that you sold in between 11 and 18, because usually entrepreneurs sell a bunch of other things. But
Yeah.
at 18, you joined this big sales company and stuff. What were you selling? Can you mention that? You don't have to mention the company if you don't want.
Yeah. So, yeah, 100%. No worries. We were selling, we started with phone lines for businesses and internet, pretty much PBX systems, all the phone system and internet for businesses. So they already had a provider, obviously, because they have to operate the business. So we were coming from the opposite competitor and saying, hey, I understand that, you know, that you have already a phone line and that you already feel, you know, comfortable. But what we can do is we can save you this much, and we can do this, and we can obviously increase the quality as well by reducing the price. So how can you do that? Why don't you grab me a bill and I can show you exactly what I can do. So then once I got the bill, did the comparison, and then just go for the close, right? Most people didn't feel comfortable because they don't feel, you know, really comfortable with switching. You know, they already have everything working. They don't want, you know, things to mess up. So it was really getting to build that trust while I was, you know, talking to them, and then just assuming the close. Assuming the close is it's assuming the yes. That's what closing means, right? Is assuming the yes. If you don't believe that they're going to get it, then why should they expect that they're going to get it, right? So
Right.
It all starts with yourself and just go. And from there, it was just smashing deals over and over. We were hitting, you know, around 40 doors a day, and it's just the law of average. You just keep.
So go into that 40 doors a day, just for the folks who don't know what that means.
So we were going into the field, so into the streets where all the businesses are, and we used to hit them one by one and look for the decision maker. And then from there, if the decision maker wasn't there, take notes. So understand when he's going to come back, at what time, so I can go back and just hit him where he's there. And then just close them one by one. Sometimes, you know, they closed on the spot. Sometimes they, you know, they needed to speak to their spouse, or they needed to, you know, speak to their partners or whatever. So we came back the next day and just keep closing, right? And then we used to be in a neighborhood around, you know, 2-3 weeks to really, you know, squeeze all the juice, right? To be able to, you know, get everyone in the area and not just one or two, and not really work the territory properly. So we started from there, from selling the internet and phone lines. And then we went to the merchant processing services. So those are the Visa machines. And, they already had a rate from the bank, and then we came and reduced the rate, give them better equipment. And also it was like a switch and save. So it was really, really hardcore because, it was tough. It wasn't easy at all. But, once you get familiar, once you, start really pursuing it, you start, seeing results, and then you take those past results and accomplish new results because you have that confidence that, they can fall. There's no one that, it's a fight. It's either your mind fights against them to win, or you buy their idea on why they're not going to buy it. Right. So it was really mental fights all the time. And that, from there, it just, I loved it. I love it. For me, it was like a game. Just go in and they tell me, oh, I'm not interested. Oh, I completely understand that you're not interested, right? But that's exactly what Jessica told me, your neighbor. But as soon as I showed her how much she was going to save, she completely changed her mind. Can I just show you why she changed her mind? Yeah, sure. And just over and over, handle every single objection. It didn't matter what they had as an objection. We just handle it. And I was always with the creativity of like, what can I say next? Or, if I wasn't able to handle something, I just, didn't stop thinking until, I figured out a way. And that's why they called me the impulse technician in the in the organization, because I was always, finding impulses to really impulse them to buy all the time.
Dude, that's cool. That's good. That's the folks who come from a real direct sales, face-to-face sales thing, because I did that in the past as well. We were doing knives and shit, dude, it's hardcore. And the impulse creation stuff is fascinating because for copywriters, we have to build that through words, right? But once you've done it in person, like what you've done, you actually know, because you just instinctively, okay, I know at this point, this is when their impulse is starting to rise. This is when they're starting to go down. It's shit like that. So I think it's such a cool fucking skill because you really get to like dissect human behavior. It almost sounds, for me, I always have fun with this stuff. And I hear you talking about it with the same type of passion. You get excited, you get fired up. You'd probably get fired up doing that, selling anything, right? Because I was doing it with like selling knives, like I didn't care. After a while, it was getting fun. And so do you treat this kind of like a game? Is it kind of just like a fun game?
100%. If you don't love what you're doing, right, then if you don't have a passion for it, and then you're not going to enjoy it, right? So for me, it's all about, yes, I need to get results, but I also enjoy the process. I enjoy when people are saying no 10 times or, I'm not interested. And then, you flip that to, oh, that's very interesting, right? I didn't see it in that way. No, I completely understand, right? And then you just keep working that process to, bring them to the close, right? And that's what I love. A lot of people are like, hey, they try to bring someone right away from here to here. It's like, hey, come here. But, they feel uncomfortable, right? They don't feel like if anyone were to take you and just drag you here, you wouldn't feel comfortable, right? So, the process of being able to, give them a little bite here, give them a little bite there, another bite here, another bite here, and then bring them closer to the door that you're trying to close them, right? That's a different approach. So I enjoy that process, and I fell in love with the process. That's what really allowed me to see, lots of success. It's because if you just are focusing on the end result, then, the end result or the money is not going to really be able to accelerate your process. If you focus on the process, that's what will accelerate your process.
Now, you mentioned something earlier that I remember I had drilled into me by my old sales coach. It's called the law of averages. So can you just talk about that real quickly? Just talk about like, what the hell is a law of average for the folks who don't know what that is?
So the law of average, right? You can see it in many different ways. So one way could be more doors, more money, right? The more that you hit more doors, the more that you're going to, being able to get more decision makers, then the more that you're going to be able to pitch, then the more you're going to be able to do the presentation, right? But if you just hit one door or two doors and three doors, and then just hope that, and you're just asking yourself, hey, why am I not getting results? Is because you're not talking to enough people, right? So you need to talk to enough people in order to, get the results that you're looking for. That's why we call it the law of average. Another way that, it's really good to have in your mind when you're doing this is every no gets me closer to a yes. So, when somebody tells you no, at the end, even though you were persistent, you don't lose your shit. Why? Because you know that every no, it's getting you closer to your yes. So maybe it was a no, but you get excited. Why are you getting excited? Because you're getting closer to your yes. So it's a mental trick to always have your positive attitude and not just lose it, right? And that's really something that, can help you in the sales industry.
Dude, that's so hardcore. My old sales coach, Chad, used to do the same type of stuff. The first thing in the morning, we'd go and it'd be like 7 a.m. And it would be face-to-face stuff. It would be different things. One of them was we would just go into Sam's Club and just try to pitch people fucking knives and shit. And so he was just like, all right, let me just go run up to 10 people real quick. I'm like, what do you mean you're going to run up to 10 people? He's like, I just need to get my quick 10 no's out of the way so I can start making money today. I was like, what? And it was like I never heard this type of concept. So he would run up to people. He didn't even care. He just acted goofy. He's like, hey, what's up? Real quick. I got this really amazing knife. Here, hold it real quick. Like, no, get out of here. Hey, no worries. High five. Thanks for talking. Woo-hoo-hoo. Go to the next person. Hey, what? Do the exact same shit. And by the 9th, 10th person, he'd be closing somebody. And the person would be like, dude, you're hilarious. I can't even believe you just hit us in a row. Like, I was like blown away. So that's when I first discovered the law of averages. And when you heard it, just kind of brought back this nostalgia and stuff. So I love it. So, but now after you did, so it sounds like you really developed your sales skills, and really honed them in this company, right? That where you're selling all this stuff, you really developed it. And now, did you transition out of that? Like what, or what are you doing now? Like what was next from there?
From there, I went to another big organization that they were in sales too, but they were selling charity. So they were, all their clients, they were like charity organizations, but huge, like an example, World Vision, or, helping little kids overseas. So, that's where, I transitioned to that type of sell. Now, for me, it was like, it was hard at the beginning. I'm not going to lie, because, I was, very used to, getting big results and always being able to smash it, get big awards, build teams, teach them how to sell, and do it over and over and over and just expand. But then there was a moment where I just didn't feel that, they were giving me the opportunity I wanted. So, that's where, I was always stuck as a manager. I wanted to be an owner. I wanted to, go for more. So this other organization, offered me, the growth and being an ownership, having my own location. But first we had to start from the bottom. So I was, what, why not? So I went there. And after, when I was there, at the beginning, I was like, how come am I not getting results? Because, I'm so good in sales and I'm still not getting the results I'm looking for. But it was because it was a learning curve. And the learning curve that I had to learn there, it was that I had to not just, be raw with the sell, with the raw stuff and close them and be so hardcore. It was more laid back, and I had to be emotional. I had to really ask them questions that were leading to their heart. So when I was able to really, almost become the number one sales in that industry too, in that organization, that's where, for me, it just took off. It was like, I just knew so much about sales that, I didn't feel that I had to stay there anymore. And that's where, I looked for more and then started my own company, my own marketing firm, where I was able to learn a lot about marketing. And then all the sales experience I had in the past, I combined it. And for me, that was like the mega explosion, because it was just like insane. I could get the leads, close them. I can, it was just, off to the races. And
dude, that's the number one thing every business needs. You need leads and sales. And if you're already a master closer and you can crack the code on how to generate leads, now it's just kind of like printing money. It's a little ridiculous. So that's badass.
Yeah.
So now it's interesting that you talked about how you had to become, I guess it was more of an emotional process, emotional close for this next company you were doing. Do you think that with, I guess, low ticket sales, more of those impulse type, hitting them hard type of deal that you were doing in the other company works better? And then maybe for high ticket stuff that are multiple thousands of dollars, maybe that more empathetic approach works best? Or does it even matter? Do you know? Or what do you think?
If you're trying to fundraise, right? If you're trying to get money in the fundraising industry, then yes, you need to attach it with some emotional stuff, right? Because you really, any investor, if you hit their heart and they believe in the cause and they can feel that they're making an impact, they will pour money into you 100%, right? But now when it comes down to selling a product or a service, or even a mentorship program or a course, right? You really need to, handle each objection that the person has. Maybe, oh, I don't want to buy it because, I don't have the money right now. Okay, so now you need to handle the money part, right? Now, if they're like, oh yeah, I need to speak to my spouse. Oh, okay, so you need to handle that objection, right?
How do you handle that? How do you handle when someone says like stuff like that?
So there is a rule that I call ABC. ABC sounds for two things, right? One is always be closing. And the second one is agree, bounce, close. So you agree with whatever they say. Oh, I'm not interested. I completely understand that you're not interested. It totally makes sense to me, right? You never heard about something like this. But that's where I start the bounce. But, your neighbor, Johnny here, he felt the same way. But as soon as we showed him the opportunity, he completely changed his mind because he was like, oh my God, this could save me so much money, or I could actually make like triple of what I'm making right now. So he completely changed his mind. Can I show you why he changed his mind? Now I'm going to the close. I'm closing him. I'm showing him now why this guy changed his mind. So, that if you use that approach on anything, A, B, C, always be closing and agree, bounce, close, and you agree, bounce, close every single time, there's going to be a point where, you handle every single objection they had and they're just naked. They have nothing left. And then you can even say, is there anything else, sir? Yeah, I think there's nothing else. Perfect. So, how do you want to get started? With Visa or MasterCard, sir?
Oh, I love it, dude. I love it. That's great.
You give them an optional close, right? Because if you're like, oh, you still want to do it, then I'm not assuming the sell. I'm not assuming they want to do it. I'm asking them, right? And sometimes, a lot of times, people, they don't have the knowledge to know what's really good for them. So if I know that's really good for them, then I'm gonna press them with that truth. Even though, right now they might not really feel comfortable, I will make them buy. Why? Because I know it's good for them. And maybe you can't see it right now, but in 5 months or 6 months, you're gonna, be so appreciative and say, thank you, David, for, getting me to buy this, because I didn't see the benefits at the time, but, now I see it. So that's why it's very important to sell something that, you believe in and that will bring, a better result for the consumers, right? Because if you're selling crap and you're just pushing it, then, yes, you're getting results, but, you're not getting the other person to be fulfilled. You're not, really making an impact, positive impact. Maybe you're doing a negative impact, right? But, that's why sales is very, very powerful. It's you can change someone's mind in a conversation, but you need to use it for good, not for evil. Because if you use it for evil, you can see what happens with like Hitler or the other negative impacts on this world, right? So make sure that you have a positive product, a positive service that is actually helping the world. And then if you actually are 100% convicted that it will help, then, go for it. Go all in, don't hesitate. Don't doubt yourself. Don't fear. Just believe and accomplish.
Dude, I'm loving everything you're saying. You're just dropping gold. And I love that you actually showed some cool tactics in here on how to handle objections, right? That ABC would be for any objection, I assume.
Any objection you can handle with the ABC, right? So, when it comes down to getting mentor in sales, right? There's not only the techniques, there is the mental state that you need to be in order to get the results, right? Because if you're mentally in a low vibration and you're hitting people on a low vibration, and they're a little bit higher or a little bit lower or in at the same vibration, you're not, really transmitting, that positive energy, that, that high vibration. So it's always important to stay in a high vibration, believing that it's going to happen. If you don't believe that the sale is going to be closed, then how can you expect the prospect to believe they're going to be closed? They cannot believe it because you don't even believe it yourself. So it all starts with yourself. A lot of people, they're in the sales industry or they start, selling, and they're always like, oh, I didn't sell because of the weather. Oh, it was a shitty weather today. Oh, yeah, if it was sunny today, I guarantee you I would have had results. If this decision maker, right, wouldn't have told me that he has to speak to his wife, oh, I had them in the bag. If this prospect wouldn't have told me, right, that he had to leave right there and then, that I would have closed them and I would have made bank, right? There's always that if. And you need to cut all that crap out of your life, and you need to take responsibility on your actions. And every single thing that you don't accomplish or that you don't get your way, you're going to blame yourself, not them, not the world. Because guess what? They will not get better tomorrow, but you can get better tomorrow. So that's why you need to make sure that you always blame yourself for everything, because that's going to show you, it's going to teach you to take responsibility in a very deep, deep way. And that's going to allow you in your life and your decision making, to be able to get to new levels, to accomplish big things. And it's just like, stop blaming the world for your failures and start, taking responsibility and ask yourself, what can I do better? How can I fix that? And don't get out of there. Just keep pushing on how can I fix it until you come with a solution and start implementing it in your life. And then you're going to see that, you're always going to be growing. It's never going to stop. You're just going to be on a roll, where, you're fixing every failure that's coming your way. And then you start living a life of success. Success is not just a destination. Success is a way of life. Success is a way of thinking. Success is a way of really living, right? That's what it is, right? You cannot just, hope to reach success and being, getting destroyed by all your failures, right? Because that's not going to help you. It's going to hurt you.
I love that you talk about taking responsibility for everything. I mean, that's huge. I mean, you have to own everything because you're the only one who's going to be able to improve themselves, right? If you just blame somebody else, how can you even improve yourself? So just always take responsibility for every single thing. So so let's transition to what you're doing with your marketing stuff. So you've got this great sales background. You know how to close. You know how to teach people how to close, which is a great skill in itself because some people are great closers, but they can't teach. So it's cool that you can do both. And you just demonstrated that right here. So what are you doing? Do you work with clients in your marketing firm? What do you do there? What's that all about, this new company that you started?
So we help small, medium businesses pretty much get more awareness of who they are with branding, with some strategies, with contests, giveaways, and all those type of things that are getting the community where they are engaged and involved with what they are doing, right? Because if you're not getting the community involved, then, why should they care about, what you're doing? If you go the extra mile, they will come the extra mile. So it's the job of the business owner to go the extra mile and do, things that most businesses are not doing, like doing videos, like, giving stuff away, like, having a strategy, a marketing plan, and just executing on every single step of the way in order to get, the awareness that they're looking for. McDonald's, they're a huge brand because of the content they create and the distribution. They're on every channel. And if you look at all the little kids are always looking at Disney Channel, right? So this, boom, you see the McDonald's ad pop there, you know, you see the commercial, it's there for a reason, because, you know, they know that the target market are there. So they're going to put themselves in front of the target market, right? They even have a clown. They even have a little song, the Lala song, right? And they're just, you know, they have those things to captivate their audience, right? So it's, what do you have to captivate your audience? What are you doing right now to bring awareness to your consumers, right? To your place of business, right? Maybe you're a specialist and being a dentist, or maybe you're a specialist and being a chiropractor or a dental office or a restaurant, but it does not mean that you are the authority. And that's what we can help you with. We can help you go from specialist to authority. And now once you become the authority in your industry, that's where you start seeing a big difference in the cash flow that comes in and the impact that you're providing into the community and the growth, right? It all starts, if you're at one location, maybe, you know, you're just in that one location working really hard and taking all the profits home. But, you know, if you're not able to take part of the profits and put it back into the business, you won't be able to scale. You're always going to stay in a position where you're bringing the profits home, bringing the profits home, bringing the profits home, and you're just surviving. You're in a business to survive. And that's a big no-no for me. I'm not in a business to survive. I'm in a business to win. I'm in a business to increase everything: money, knowledge, customers, impact. You know, it's all about, you know, what you're contributing to the world. So yes, it's amazing to see success and have success, but now that you have it, what's left? You know, and it's sharing that success with the world, bringing other people to success, sharing and making that an impact, right? Because a lot of people are stuck in the system, right? They're always working on that 9 to 5, or they have a business that, you know, they say they own, but most of the time the business owns them. So, you know, they're still in that circle, right? So you need to break free from all those, from that circle, and being able to, you know, get to a new level.
And so you help folks do that with their marketing. I'm assuming you can also give them sales advice as well, right? Once you help them generate leads, build that expert authority, I'm sure you can help them close deals, right? So where can people find out about you, man? How can they find you online?
So online, they can go to majestylevelmarketing.com, and they'll see a little form there that they can fill up, and it will get right to my inbox, and I'll be able to you know, go from there. And my Instagram is david.lopez.corp, CORP. And also there, they can click on the link, and they can connect more with me. And as a gift to your audience, I would be willing to give them a 15 to 20 minute, you know, consultation, you know, as long as they say they come from your podcast. You know, I'm all in, and able to, you know, contribute and help more people, you know, get to where they want to get.
Hell yeah. Well, everyone who's listening to this, make sure you go ahead, use and abuse that time of his so you can get on there and get your value. So sign up, go ahead, message him on that IG Instagram handle, david.lopez.corp, CORP, and check them out for yourself. Hey, man, thank you so much for stopping by and getting on the podcast. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Carlos. Really, really, you're a great host, and keep it up, because I know you're up to big things.
Thank you, man. All right, guys, so make sure you stay tuned for the future episodes. Make sure you subscribe, rate us 5 stars, and also leave us a nice killer written review so that we keep ranking up faster on iTunes. Thanks so much, guys. See you on the next episode.